Oh, Paul, good to see you. How are
Hi,
you?
Bonnie. I can't get enough of you.
I can't get
Apparently,
enough of you either. Oh my
no,
God, you just made my day, my friend. You're like my favorite. I swear to God. I was so excited for this special. First off, I do apologize and I feel bad for your election. So I just wanted to get that off there. Sorry about that.
it's rare that you get condolence calls about
Yeah,
politics. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Listen, let's keep our fingers crossed. It won't be.
I saw a map. Somebody said, just here you go, problem fix. You just draw a line, all the Northwest, and then you get Minnesota and New England, and we all go to Canada.
Yeah, I told you on my last interview with you that you are always welcome here, your whole family. So please, not a
But the
problem.
whole country?
No, you and
The
your
whole,
family. That's it.
okay, I
I
appreciate it.
stopped
That's fair
there.
enough.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
stopped
cool.
there. Okay. Listen, how are things? And thank you for doing this special. My God, 30 odd years. Why did it take so freaking long?
I'm a slow typer. Uh, I don't know. Well, I didn't do stand up for what turned out to be 20 years.
Yeah.
Not by design. I was just got busy and I didn't I was busy with Man About You and then I was tired after Man About You. So
Sure.
I didn't do it, but it was always on my to-do list. I was intending to get back. And when I did, it took a while, a good solid year before I felt um, you know, like I got the muscle back. And then I've just been working and getting out as much as I can in between
Yeah.
projects. And I don't know, I never thought of, for people say we should do a special, and I didn't want to because I thought, well, then you got to throw out all the material. Everybody's seen it. And then I thought, well, no, yeah, that's part of it. You got to put it and make a record of it, and then write the next stuff. So it felt like time, and it kind of chilled me when I realized it had been 32 years since the last one. But but it's a very, very different point in life too.
Yes.
I was newly married, cut to I have adult children leaving the home. It's like, wow, all right, a lot of stuff has happened. Let's talk about that.
Well, I was going to say that, Paul, because yes, over the 30 years, man, if you had some life experiences, there's no question about it. So, was it easy for you to kind of throw this together? And did you have like just too much material? Or did you have to really sit down and go, all right, I got to have a focus here?
Well, there's no such thing as too much material. I never heard of that problem. it's like it's like my house is too nice. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
heard that. No, I was working and I was going out. You know, I never really toured like some people do. You see the T-shirts with 72 cities on the shirt. I went, yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I would go a very gentleman pace. So like every other weekend, I'd do two or three shows. Um, and then after a while, I felt like, well, here's what I'm talking about. And then when you start thinking of, it's already you're doing an hour and a half show, and it's pretty tight and structured. And they say, okay, well now let's record it. And then you want to trim it a little bit for a special. And then when you watch it with that kind of editing eye, you go, oh, you know what, that can come out. Or no, that one sounds a little bit too much like the other one. And you sort of compress it to its best form.
Yeah.
And I love that process. I love editing. I love tightening. And I still look at anything I've done and go, oh, I could still, I would take that out. I would move that there. You're never
Really?
done. Well, there's, that I don't know what if it's a saying or whatever, but that example of the art teacher that you said sometimes you need to know when to take the brush out of the kid's hand. It's like you're done.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't put more leaves on the tree. That's a tree already. So knowing that about the process and about myself, like you know,
Yeah.
like with this movie that we talked about, the problem with people is like, I still watch and go, there's 40 seconds right there I want to take out. It's like, you know what? And if you take it out, you'll find another 8 seconds.
Of
So let
course.
it go. And that's just part of the process. And you hopefully you do the best you can. Having said all that, I'm very pleased with the special. I feel like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is a good representation of where I am right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, well, I'm around the same age as you, my friend, and boy, can I relate to every single thing that you talked about in this special. But I have to know, do you actually like rice pudding? Because it makes me gag.
No, I enjoy a rice pudding, but
Okay.
the story of the rice pudding, uh, I didn't consume any rice pudding. That was a standalone. It was told to me about rice pudding, and it's funny. There's an example where I had that story had stayed with me, and it was a story that Peter Falk shared.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, and in the special, I sort of tell it at the end of the show,
Yeah.
and to me, it was a story that made me laugh. But over the years, I would think about it, and I thought, why am I stuck on this story? I said, because it's subtly deep. It actually says something without
Yeah.
meaning to, and that tickled me. So it was an interesting thing for process for me to go. This is not a bit. I'm just going to tell you a story, and I'm going to tell you why it mattered to me. And I had never done that on stage. I said, well, this feels good. This feels. I'm going to share with you nice people, and I know you're nice because you came to see me, so you must be nice people. I already like
Exactly.
you, and if I find this funny, I think you're going to find this funny.
Yeah.
And so that was a fun thing to share.
Yeah, so many relatable things. Like I said, like I just downsized and moved into a condo and 40 odd years of stuff in my house. Like you're
Yeah.
right. Like does crap like actually have sex in your cupboards and then
Yes,
multiply?
it
Like
does
what the heck
multiply.
is about
It
that?
multiplies. And then, but when it comes time to getting rid of it, each thing you go, I can't get rid of this. Yeah, okay, but if you put it back, you haven't done anything. It's just going to be there tomorrow. And and I found so many things. Like, this still works. This still work. I just saw some little cartoon in a magazine. It was somebody at the pearly gates, and and St. Peter's looking at his record. He goes, I see here that you threw out some of your children's kindergarten artwork. It's like, yeah, that's a sin. Isn't that a sin? But I remember asking my kids, "Do you want? No, throw it out. We don't." And they're like,
Exactly.
by the way, you could do that too. You could make a mess, and it's the merit of that stuff is it's fun to clean it out, and then you enjoy it, and
Yes.
then throw it out.
Yeah.
But that it's not going to get more exciting when you look at it and go, "Oh, you remember this? Now you're done. Move on."
100%, I agree. I want to touch a little bit on your career over the last few years because, man, are you a busy, busy guy? And I want to start off with the Michael McDonald book because I walk every day, so I listen to audiobooks every single day, like when I walk.
Oh,
And
did
that,
you listen to Michael's telling any?
yes, and
Yeah.
I wanted to know about your collaboration and your friendship with that guy because, like, again, a huge Doobie Brothers fan, so I was very
Mm.
excited for this. But I loved your collaboration with him. Yeah, we get a little bit of you at the end. You do your
Yeah,
thanks and all
no,
that.
I loved the collaboration. It was an interesting thing for me. He was a friend, which was, I was a fan, and I met him, at an off chance thing at some
Yeah,
small social event where he was entertaining. It was at somebody's house. And I went, this guy must be doing well. His musical soundtrack is Michael McDonald live in his living room. You're doing well.
yeah,
So I went over to him. It was intimate enough. I said, oh, I'm just a big fan. And we started chatting. And in a ballsy move, I said, I live right next door and I have a room with two pianos. You wanna play?
yeah,
And he went, yeah. And that began the friendship. And so over the years, so we stay friends. And he actually invited me a couple of times to play on stage with him, which was mind blowing and
yes,
nerve wracking. But I would always ask him questions because I was curious as a fan, and as much as I loved his music and listened to it endlessly, I didn't know him. I didn't understand his career, and he's such a sort of under the radar personality. And so I would ask him things, and I jokingly one day said, "You should write a book, so I don't have to bother you with these questions." He goes, people have asked me about it because I don't know if I have a story. I go, no, you have a story. He said, yeah, but I don't know how to write a book. So I said, well, as luck would have it, I've written a couple of books, and this was
yes,
March of 2020. So COVID had just locked us down. I said, hey, we have no jobs. We got nothing to do. Let's do this. And so we just did what you and I do. We Zoomed and I
yeah,
recorded it. And then, after a couple of months, had enough stuff for a book. And for me, part of the process, I loved hearing his stuff and I loved molding it. And again, editing it, sculpting it. But it was interesting for me because it was the first thing I'd ever done for which I was not the end user. You know what I mean?
right,
Stand up. I'm writing for myself. Mad About You, I wrote so I could have a show.
yes, yes,
Um, I write for myself. This was not that. This is your book. And I said, and it gave me the comfort and him the comfort. I said, just say it. Sometimes he would say, I don't know if I should tell this. I went, we're not going out live. Just tell me. And then
exactly.
you'll look at it and you'll change it and you'll
Edit
cut
it.
it.
Yeah.
And when it was all done, I was very pleased with it, but more importantly, he was. And that
Mm.
made me feel like, and not only was he pleased with it, but when it was done, he realized, oh, I do have a story to tell.
Mm.
Even, his thought was, I only have an interesting life because I worked with all these interesting people. I said, well, A, it's not true, but B, that's a story.
Yes.
Forrest Gump had a story. So there's a reason, by the way, that you have played with everybody from, Quincy Jones and Ray Charles and all through everybody. Um, and he's one of those guys that everybody just goes, "Oh, I love him. I love his
Yeah.
voice. I love it." But you don't know him. So I was pleased that at the end of this, people go, "Wow, I never knew his story. Now I do, and I get it." And you end up liking him more because he's such a humble, modest, sweet guy.
100%. Okay, so
That's
I
that.
have read your books. I mean, it's been many years since those books came out. So have you started to think about now giving us this chapter in book form?
Well, after couplehood, babyhood, and familyhood, the next
Yeah.
one I'm getting ready for strokehood, and
Come on.
that's but I got to get it done, before the stroke happens,
Come
because
on.
afterwards it's just so hard. I don't know. I've thought about it. At the moment, it feels the things that come up feel like I have this great opportunity to work them out in stand up. You know,
Yeah.
it, it, that's always been a great outlet. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just like, let me think of what's funny. But now it's like, okay, I had this ridiculous argument with my wife. Let me throw this on stage and this will make me feel better because it's
Yeah.
absurd, right? This is
And
funny, folks. Am
cathartic.
I right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
does anybody side with me on this? Or are you siding with her? Okay. And and the best part of the comedy, when things are working well for me, is they're laughing, like you say, because you relate to it.
Yeah.
And they're going, okay, thank God it's not just me. This guy's going through this too. But what they don't always know is that I'm hearing their laughter going, okay, good. So it's not just me. We're all going through this. And that's very comforting.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more minutes. Stranger Things. Are we seeing you in season 5?
Can't tell you.
Oh,
Maybe,
come
maybe not.
on. Really?
Maybe not. Call me later, I'll tell you.
All right, I'm looking forward to that. And going back and doing Axel, Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, how much fun was that?
That was fun. That was fun. That was easy call. Would you come
Yeah.
in for 2 days and play with Eddie again? Yes. Um, but there's a couple of things. So this movie that we talked about, The Problem with People, is out. And then
Yes.
I have his part in this really silly ass comedy called The Gutter,
Okay,
which is a
that was
bowling
my
movie.
next.
And
Yeah.
that is like one of the few scripts I read, and like on page 7, I go, yeah, I'm in. This is really so stupid funny.
Yeah.
Like Dumb and Dumber kind of, like you go, that's crazy,
I
but
saw
really
it.
funny.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
did you?
saw it. I just interviewed Darcy Carden for it, and
Oh, oh, cool.
it really. I told her it made me laugh out loud. And these days, it's hard for me to laugh
Yeah,
out
I know.
loud at stuff,
But you
right?
know what? If people are so like happy, can we have a stupid comedy that we don't have to think too hard? Or,
Yeah.
we need the distraction. And more, that's true. And so I'm really appreciative of getting a chance to lose myself in a comedy, whether I'm performing it or watching it. I literally I'm not watching news anymore because like I just can't. So I'm doing
Yes.
this. And
Yes.
that's what comedy is becoming for me. Like, can we just have fun and talk about this and tap dance for a while?
Yeah. And lastly, any more collaborations with Helen Hunt? I mean, it was so great
We
that you
had
guys
lunch.
did
We
got
had
back
lunch last
together,
week.
but yeah.
Uh, the last thing we did together, we did a get out the vote in Michigan. I don't think
Yeah.
we succeeded enough. But
Uh,
that's always something we talk about, and would be fun to come up with something. I still occasionally write in my head, will write a little scene. I go, that's not stand up. That's something that you can only do with Helen. It was going to be
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, that would be fun. I don't have anything in the works, but I will call you when I do.
I appreciate it. Listen, I always, like, as you know, love speaking with you, love seeing you, and like I say, open invitation, come back to Canada, but come do some more stand up here or something.
Okay. Okay.
Why not, right?
Done. I will.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, thank you always for your time and everything that you do and that you give us. This special is just off the charts. I loved it so much, and I always
Ah,
love.
thank you so much. Thanks,
You're
Bonnie. Nice to
welcome.
talk to you.
Nice to see you. Take care. Have a good week. Bye bye.
And you.
Bye.
Thanks, Bob.